Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Morning Skate Podcast. I am Matt Moody, joined by two guests for this 12-game Tuesday slate. First up, we have Matt, nolt0032 in the DraftKings lobby. And second, we have Mike, mkberg12. Don't take anything meaning into that. Mike has the 2 seats to the Fantasy Hockey World Championship coming up in April. Gentlemen, how you doing? Matt, how's your day been here on Monday evening?
I mean, you told me I was doing research for this thing and you told me to stop and just come along for the ride. So they're doing well. Like you told me just wing it and I can handle that. So, that's not that bad.
I mean, that is my role here. DJ just comes in and clowns around. I do all the work.
I'm taking his spot.
So
I get to just throw out some random stuff and see what you see. And Mike will come with the calculated takes, and I'll just be like, yeah, Austin Matthews, he kind of sucks. I don't know. Whatever. Just fly it off. Just say whatever I want.
It's a lot of pressure to put on me early on this.
Hey, you're the top-rated guest, so you gotta live up to it there, Mike. Come on. We're looking for you to carry this.
Heavy as the crown.
Booth is going to do the base work. You're going to carry us, and then I'll just say whatever I want. So there you go.
Yeah. So in my head, I've done all the work. We have 24 teams on this slate. I have the Excel set up to go. I think my job here is to basically just wind you boys up and just send you off into the other. So I hope you don't let the people down. But I absolutely know that if DJ were here, he would be letting the people down. So I'm just excited to get through a show where we don't complain about live bets hitting or not hitting, just actually paying attention to each other. Like, it's just one of those things that I feel like I'll look back upon this fondly. But anyway, we have a lot to get to. There is a 12-game slate over on DraftKings on Tuesday, obviously on Underdog as well. Most importantly, every game starts before 9 o'clock, so they couldn't even, turn it into 2 shit slates, a late slate with 5 games and 2K to first. Like, they couldn't do that. So we have all 12 games here on the docket. From the weekend of hockey that we saw, I'm not sure that any of these teams are really back in the flow of things. So, it could be crazy out here. We had multiple 8 spots over the weekend. We've got some, teams to really target. So I am looking forward to digging into this one. But before we do that, I did just want to mention that there is a 20K to first 555 in the lobby over on DK. Saturday didn't come close to filling. So I kind of appreciate DK taking a step here and, putting up a good contest for a good slate. But, obviously not telling you to, press your bankroll or whatever. But if you're the type that is like, oh, I don't know about the contest, or like, today is a good slate to do that, in my opinion, to actually play. So here's hoping that we don't just go into the death spiral, as Matt called it, as we head into baseball season.
And don't forget, you mentioned if you're on DraftKings, that promotion, they run a promotion for that 555, which you called out before it went live. But grab that thing. So at least you're going to play. Try to win another, whatever it was, 25K or whatever pot on the side, a little side pot.
Yeah. And if you don't have that on your promos page, have fun staying poor, I guess. Matt's just out here flaunting the, I don't even know. I'm not Onyx anymore, but maybe I just get lumped in because I just donate or whatever. But yeah. Anyway. Let's get into things. We are starting off with an absolute banger. We have Anaheim at Buffalo. I mean, Anaheim here without. Well, let me just show what we have. Anaheim without Trevor Zegras. Let me say, I could not believe that was not called a penalty on the ice. But hey, I guess the league got it right. I'm expecting with no Zegras that Jackson Lacombe goes back on the top power play. They had been rolling a 5-man top unit for the last little stretch of time. And then also Brett Leeson has sort of been their plug and play top 9 forward when they've had this opportunity. But that's all up in question. So I'm guessing this is what we're going to end up with, though. What stands out to me on this slate, though, is just how expensive like all the mid-tier folks are. So getting guys like Jackson Lacombe at 4,200, like I think that's actually reasonable. I mean, we can see it on this team. Cutter Gauthier is 4,700. Like, yeah, he's been good. He's been much closer to the player I thought he could be. But like 4,700, like I don't know. DK is being very strange with pricing. We'll certainly note that as we go throughout the slate. But Mike, I'll throw it to you here because I know Matt's gonna just jam in Jackson LaCombe because he did that on.
I'm gonna interrupt Mike and you to say, are you ready to like capitulate and say that Jackson LaCombe is the greatest defender ever? Are you ready yet? You kind of did in MSP, but I'm not buying. I need to hear like on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I think I can say it to your face that Jackson LaCombe is absolutely everything that I thought Olin Zellweger could be.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's actually absurd.
And he's mispriced technically. I mean, looking at this, like he's
absolutely
mispriced. Look at that. Yeah.
I think the greatest testament to how he's been playing is the fact that he doesn't get just like 6 nights off in a row like every other young defenseman on that team. So,
no, quite literally.
I'm kind of bummed McTavish price is probably back. Your sheet's strong, like the 2x values where they usually price things, right? So he's kind of like back to value, but he's still doing things. He's like the only interesting forward, honestly. Otherwise, like I don't know, you call out Leeson for price because I think, as you said, with the pricing, some of those plays are good to note, but I'm not going to do it. Someone else.
Yeah, I think it's better news for like the Gauthier Fabry line, but like again, they're so expensive now that maybe in a different world that's useful, but on a 12-game slate, 13.6K for this trio, like I think they're gonna get 16, 17, maybe even 18 minutes. Gauthier scored twice over the weekend, so like you're not wrong, but I think we'll get to better spots, and of course keep an eye on the revolving door of defensemen between Zellweger and Hellison and Minchikov. I believe Minchikov, if he draws in, is he's 2,900, so not quite the minimum, but I guess a little bit of savings if he does. The other side, I do think could have some interest. The Buffalo Sabres at home against Anaheim. Buffalo put up 8 on the Rangers over the weekend. First line, well, actually, I should mention the second line has a couple question marks. Both Zucker and Tuck did not practice today. Tuck took a pretty nasty hit into the wall that he left the game, and Zucker blocked a shot that I think both returned to the game, honestly. So I'm expecting those just to be maintenance, but do keep an eye on it. But we see, again, pricing across the board just kind of inflated all around. My particular interest here, though, is in Rasmus Dahlin. I got a lot of egg on my face with the Sweden, tournament, I guess, write-up that I did for the Four Nations face-off. I thought Dahlin was really going to earn the top role. And honestly, he probably did because Hedman did nothing to earn it. But Dahlin came back off of this tournament, scored twice against the Rangers. He said he was limited by an injury, his shooting, which like, I don't think I knew that because I think I would have not played Dahlin as much over the last little stretch had I known that. But he chucked all over the ice against the Rangers, obviously scored twice. I really like Rasmus Dahlin. 6,300 is, I think, a discount compared to the rest of the slate. But let's see if Mike can actually get a thought in this time before Matt interrupts him.
I'm going to say something, but I'll let him go.
I was told just to interrupt whenever, so I was just jump in there anyways. But I think this is interesting on the Buffalo side because we do have some lines we'll get to later that are right in this core range with high totals that where ownership falls will be pretty interesting. But I will just say, with all due respect to Jason Zucker, seeing that $6,100 price tag to him it's just wild in the year of 2025. That's amazing. I mean, again, all due respect to him, but man, that's crazy to see.
I mean, the only thing I got to throw on here is like we're on a little donkey DFS watch with Buffalo. If they're going to push like 20%, I don't know, maybe, but 12 games, like, come on, pick something else. But the usuals always click them in. And then I'm going to back the Dahlin idea. Like Anaheim lets everyone score and everyone shoot. So it's a little bit like of a, like, dumbass stat. But like, Anaheim's allowing a lot of those shot attempts from those top defenders. So Dahlin's price is down in a good matchup. Like he's the spot. You're going to build around something. So don't leave him off. You're going to play Buffalo is kind of where I'd lean on this. But then from there, I don't know, go wild.
Yeah. Jordan Greenway, I believe this number is based on just one game of action. He missed a long stretch of time. And I think Saturday was his first game back off that injury. But if you're feeling real crazy, Jack Quinn gets top power play, 4,500. The full line stack, 12.5 between Greenway, Cousins, and Quinn. And then, of course, make sure that both Zucker and Tuck are playing, because if not, then you could see someone like Zach Benson or Peyton Krebs step into a bigger role, which against Anaheim wouldn't be nothing. But otherwise, yeah, I think for me it's Dahlin and kind of move on. I mean, Peterka's just been. I think Peterka's not as good as Yuri Kulik, and the fact that Peterka's on the top power play just kind of makes it a little strange. I don't hate playing the top line. They're still 19K, which, like, if they ceiling, like, it just doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna find that this is not a unique phenomenon to Buffalo pricing wise. So I'm at least keeping Buffalo 1 in the holster, even at 15% or whatever. Because I don't think that there's gonna be like a clear construction that I'm worried about, and I think Dahlin is like such a value that building around him I think could work out. Let's head over to the next game, Toronto at Boston. For Toronto, all that we have is sort of a mid-game switch between Bobby McMahon and Pontus Holmberg in the top 6. So, like, whatever. Does make the power play units nice and correlated. Top line, Nyes, Matthews, Marner, Holmberg, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Domi, Robertson. Even the defensemen are correlated, as the 5 forward power play gets both Riley and Ekman-Larsson on the second unit. I don't know if Boston's a team that I really want to target at this juncture. Let's see. I have the rainbow up, so we can take a look at that quickly. But something that I've noticed in looking at the rainbow obsessively, I guess, like I tend to, is that the league is trending toward offense in terms of my expected goal index, and I think part of that's just the schedule. I mean, it's been absolutely obnoxious coming out of the break too, but even going into the break, I mean, there's teams playing 3 games in 4 nights all over the place. So, like, you're going to see a lot of green, and when Matthews and Nylander, of course, are going to be super expensive, and the mega alphas, which of course includes Matthews, but everyone's kind of priced down at the top tier too. Like, Toronto's matchup doesn't stand out in a dramatic way to me. So I'm very interested to see what happens between this top line for Toronto. It's going to be 23K if you stack it. But I can't say I'm all that interested myself. So Matt, any thoughts on what to do with this Toronto-Boston game?
I was gonna say, I think this one, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said you had the stats right. This one was opening at a 5.5. Did you see that by any chance? Did you check that?
Yeah.
I have a note here, but I didn't check. Okay. So yeah, you're right. Like, even this is one of the ones that's a little disrespected from Vegas a little bit, but your rainbow sheet kind of agrees with my expected goal. Where, like, Toronto looks fine. Is it that amazing? I don't know. You're going to see some Matthews one-off, but it's one of those slates where if you're sniffing a low on Matthews, you can try it. Like, it's something I'm going to try, because I think he's the highest priced player, isn't he?
Yeah.
People find ways to him though, so I'm not sure. I don't know. This is one I kind of threw out too. I'm kind of like, I don't know. Nothing's interesting here for me personally.
Yeah. I mostly echo all those thoughts there. I mean, it's interesting you bring up the expected goals thing, because I've noticed, even on a bigger scale, the high danger chances have seemed to jump up over the last 10 to 25 games. So it kind of just flood everything to looking like an okay play, which would include Toronto on this slate for me. But to you guys' point, it kind of gets lost in the mix, even with that in mind, relative to the rest of the slate. So I totally see the argument for a Matthews one-off, maybe some ownership considered in that. But overall, stacking in this game just doesn't seem like something I'm interested in at all.
Let's see, I know. There we go. Something was missing, but the zoom was missing. Something that I think, because, like, obviously when anything weird like that happens, my first immediate thought is, like, natural stat trick broke, or just something's like going wrong here. But you look at, like, the goals too, and even the goal numbers are just out of hand. Like, there are some matchups where it's just like, yeah, like they might not employ a goalie on on this matchup. So like, it's just a league-wide sort of, and to me it's a schedule thing. Like, I think we saw something similar during COVID, where it was just like players in and out of the lineup. Now this is sort of just like, half players due to the schedule. But yeah, Matthews is the most expensive player at 9K. We mentioned it, but like David Pastrnak, 8,800, Kucherov, 8,500, McDavid, 8,400, Leon Draisaitl, 8,200. Like, you're just going to be able to fit in these mega studs. So I don't necessarily think Matthews comes in like super low owned, but obviously if he is, I'll take him at 2-3 to 1 odds versus any of these studs. I don't think we'll get that ownership wise. Speaking of superstars, on the Boston side, there's one little wrinkle that we can at least touch on briefly, in that Pavel Zacha got moved off the top power play in favor of Pastrnak line mate Morgan Geekie. So Geekie and Pastrnak, basically Geekie's the exact same price as Zacha, but you're going to get him at center. You're going to get a couple $100 discounted, and you're just going to get a better fantasy player. You see on the season, Morgan Geekie indexes pretty well above average in both DK points and shot attempts per 60 versus Pavel Zacha just sucks. So getting him moved off the power play and Geekie on, maybe that does something. The other thing is that apparently the Four Nations pricing idea, it might have even been someone had it. It might have been one of you too. That just like DK left the pricing from the Four Nations and everyone else fell into place. Brad Marchand is 5,500. Like, yeah, he's not quite as stellar as he was earlier in the year when we were calling him out for like some crazy high expected fantasy point numbers. But he's been relatively productive. You look at the options at 5,500, and there are certainly some, but I think Marchand is actually among the top options there. So I don't have a ton of interest in stacking against Toronto, but I'm at least interested because you get Pastrnak, of course, very affordable. You get the Geeky news, and you get Mason Lohrei, who basically takes it over for Charlie McAvoy, and at 3,900 is definitely a value with that role in mind on the top power play. So either one of you two want to, spread the lore of Mason Lohrei, or am I just sort of on Lohrei Island over here?
I'll jump in. Toronto, I think this year too, still, they've always been a little bit of a funnel to D spot. So like he's playable, but he's like, you're clicking him for price, honestly, right? Yeah. Like he's fine. You're not getting excited for him. He's going to win some of the slate now, but I think thank God they finally put Geeky up there. That's one I've stared at all year where you're like, Morgan Geeky is like 3,000, 3,500, 4,000. You're watching his price and you're seeing his production. You're like, oh yeah, well shit, this guy is producing. So it's not, that one's not. And then thank God he's finding the first power play. That makes it a little easier to eat. But yeah, nothing else on Boston is that fascinating to me. I mean, I don't know. This is one I mailed it in on. Be honest, don't care. So Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the one thing that might be interesting about this game is that both these teams aren't afraid to take penalties, and you could get some value out of sticking to the Pastrnak, the Geeky, the Lohrei, just especially with the new pricing. Some of those punt D, and that, I wouldn't consider that a punt D necessarily, but lower price D, it is seemingly hard to find value there. So I wouldn't fault anybody for playing that. Throwing a piece or two in from that side, but not something I'm prioritizing. So.
Yeah, Parker Wotherspoon, speaking of punt D, the absolute minimum, averaging 18 minutes a night, and in the last 5 games, he's played 20 minutes in 3 of them, and some of those were with McAvoy. I mean, all of them actually were with McAvoy in the lineup, so I believe. So that's interesting. He obviously gets moved to a third pair of Michael Callahan, which maybe isn't good news, but I don't know. I guess I don't really trust that Mason Lohrei is really going to get, 22 minutes. So, like, I don't think the D pairs matter much here. And Wotherspoon has been playing. He's been relatively productive. For a punt D man, I think you do a lot worse. Let's head to Carolina, Montreal. Carolina got absolutely walloped by Toronto. They went to all sorts of different line combinations. They technically found something because they scored 3 goals in pretty quick succession. I didn't gather anything from their line charts though, so just keep an eye on them. I left it the way they started last game. Most interestingly, with the Four Nations in mind, Aho, Rantanen, and Jarvis, 21.5K. If Svechnikov moves up in place of Jarvis, that line gets $1,600 cheaper against Montreal. You're talking about a maybe 20K Carolina 1 fully correlated. That includes Mikko Rantanen. and the actuals have not been there for Mikko. That is very clear. There's been much consternation about what's wrong with him, and I'm guessing the answer is there's just no Cale Makar to feed him pucks on the power play and a 5-on-5 and all that. But he's been getting the expected fantasy points. He still leads the team in that mark, and 7,300 for Mikko, I think, is just very underpriced. So that's where my head goes immediately. I think you honestly could make an argument even for the second line. No Kirby Dach for Montreal. Like that is a pretty huge blow to their depth, in my opinion. And yes, they have turned it around a little bit without the Suzuki line on the ice on the year. But without both Suzuki and Dach, I am pretty worried about the underbelly. And so getting Hall, Kotkaniemi, and Jackson Blake for a combined 12.7K, that could also bear some fruit as well. So, Mike, do you have anything on the Carolina side of this matchup?
Yeah, Carolina grades out well, but I mean, we expect them to grade out well in these situations, or any situation, I should say. But it was interesting. I actually saw them when they were in Minnesota, pretty close to it before the break happened, and saw both Rantanen and Svechnikov break their sticks over the bench, just with how frustrated they were in that game. And I mean, you could just tell, I'm sure they're gripping it a little bit tight. I'm sure there's just frustration in gelling, and they're jumbling the lines as a result. One of these games, you're probably going to see the floodgates open, and it'd be nice to be on it in that case. So, I mean, to your point, everything under the hood with Mikko seems normal, seems fine. So, it's probably just, I shouldn't say it's probably, it's just a matter of when. And of course, hey, you got Montreal coming up here, so that sounds pretty nice. So.
I'll save everyone a minute and just say move on. I don't need to talk on this one.
All right. So we didn't see what Montreal's going to do without Kirby Dach. There was an optional practice today, but they called up Owen Beck, and I think he slots into the fourth line. It's basically a question of whether Jake Evans or Christian Dvorak moves up the center, New Hook and Line A. I'm going with Evans for now, but don't be surprised if it's Christian Dvorak. I think either of those guys would honestly be okay. Also, keep an eye on the power play role that Dach vacates. I'm guessing it goes to Dvorak, but there's also some intrigue there as well. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Slafkovsky, 15.8K. I believe they had a non-negligible amount of ownership against Ottawa over the weekend. So I'm wondering what they come in at against Carolina. Again, we're going to see, I promise you, when we get to all these 9 other games we have left to go, that there is just no 16K line that looks like this. They're pretty rare in that regard. Fully power play 1 correlated, actually good players. So even though the matchup's pretty difficult, I think it would be silly to just completely rule out Montreal. But Matt, do you have thoughts on this side of the matchup?
We saw it. Actually, it's funny you say that. We saw it on Saturday. I think the only two fully correlated not the only two fully correlated lines that were below 17,000 as a full stack went 15-20%. It was the Islanders and Shark. I think the Sharks. The Sharks won. I think fit that bill. I think it was Saturday, right? So I think you're going to still see. Sunday.
Islanders.
Was that Sunday?
The Islanders went super chalky for that exact reason.
Yeah, and that's why I think you're going to see Montreal still get owned.
Yeah.
But I will say, I don't know what your rainbow sheet has on this, because I do compare against that. I like this one a little more than the Vegas was kind of pinned. I think I did a 6-ish on it. That's what I saw. And yeah, you're kind of picking on. I like this one a little bit more for the over. So some potential game stacking ideas about all I get up this one. But I think that Montreal line's going to get owned, and just use them smartly if they're owned, because it's not, I don't know, it's Carolina. It's still a tough matchup, but that they have been trending up as I see it now. Your expected goal index on there, they've been trending a little better here. But it was funny how that literally, what was it, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago, you talked about how Montreal was kind of tightening up, and then they've just been in shambles for a month. That was the funniest timing ever, because I was with you, get a Moods, get DJ. And then DJ's right. I'm like, oh, fuck all.
Yes. Yep. They had a good game against Ottawa, but of course Ottawa's just a fucking infirmary at this point. So I don't this is, I think, overreading that one game because they were very bad before that game against Ottawa too. So Yeah, I mean, you're completely right. Like, or DJ was completely right. You're completely right that I whiffed on that. But in any case, I do think game stacks are certainly in order here. Both sides of the matchup are very underpriced. So, Mike, did we go to you yet? Do you have anything to add?
I mean, this shouldn't matter on a 12-game slate, so I'll keep this brief. But I would expect that third line to stay intact and Evans to move up. I know they jumbled that around recently, but they've come back to it again, and it's had, a lot of longevity this season. So that's what I would assume happens there. I don't have it. I think that maybe taking a piece off that Montreal side. I mean, I know for a while we were trying to bring things back on the Montreal with Hudson. So like I could see maybe not specifically him in this game, but bringing back with a piece. But otherwise, I don't have interest in the Montreal side.
Yeah.
Only other note is they rolled their defenders pretty evenly last game, so maybe there's something with, I don't know why you played Jack-Eye or Struble, but I don't know. I'm just calling it out. Like they got over 16, 17 minutes, which was interesting when you have a couple guys that are better, but what do I know?
Not as much as Marty. All right. Pittsburgh at Philly. I'm just going to use this opportunity to I did it on Twitter. I did it in the Discord. Everyone got mad at me. I'm just going to do it again because, this is ultimately my show. God damn it. The NHL is absolutely criminal for what they're doing to Sidney Crosby. For those who are not paying attention to my endless, incessant rambling in Discord or my tweets about the issue, basically Sidney Crosby got hurt going into the Four Nations, so he missed that weekend of games. But going into the weekend of the Four Nations, which of course the NHL knew that Sidney Crosby was going to be a part of Team Canada, Sidney Crosby's Penguins had a back-to-back on Friday, Saturday, league shutdown, Super Bowl Sunday. The tournament plays out. He plays 4 games in a week or whatever it was. With that injury, they come back out of the break. Sidney Crosby's Penguins have the second game on a Saturday afternoon after the Thursday night final. Saturday afternoon, Sidney Crosby lugs his ass out there, gets hammered by Washington. They then have to play the next day against the Rangers, and obviously, that game was just an absolute gong show. Then they're like, all right, Sid, national TV, 2 broadcasts, Tuesday, you're going to get the day off though, right? Like you're going to get to rest. Oh no, Sid, here's your home and home with the Philadelphia Flyers, your in-state rival. I don't know how much that matters at this point in time, but in my time in being in Philadelphia, the Flyers fans that I know despise the Penguins. And it was the playoff series they played. Like there's a lot of animosity here between these two teams, regardless of whether they're good or not. Home and home. Okay, but Sid, you're going to get the weekend the rest up, right? Nope. National TV, 3:00 on Saturday, and then a 1:00 22-hour back-to-back, the league mandated minimum for a back-to-back on Sunday, I believe against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So Sidney Crosby is just going to be an absolute dead man at the end of this. I don't think you're playing him at 7,500 in any slate, in any context, regardless, but
it is just 23 minutes things. Last game too.
He's not going to say no. I mean, he's Sidney Crosby. He's you're going to have to bring him out of there on a stretcher, but it's just insane. Just no foresight. It's just the NHL. It's what they do best. But I simply couldn't believe it.
If he didn't request a trade before this stretch, he's not leaving.
That is true. Anyway, what we know, Brian Rust, I think should be back. I don't know why he didn't play this weekend. I believe he was practicing and then just didn't play. So I'm a little curious about what's going on there. I honestly didn't look into it until the thought jumped into my mind right now. But keep an eye on him. Otherwise, Matt Grzelcyk got absolutely hammered by Matt Rempe. I guess it was clean. It looked dirty as shit to me. But I'm expecting him to miss time. So we're getting, whoever jumps into the top 4 alongside Erik Karlsson, probably between Ryan Shea, Ryan Graves, Vinny Desharnais. Maybe they recall Owen Pickering. I don't know. But keep an eye out there. Top power play, Crosby, Raquel, Hayes, and Bunting. Any interest from either of you boys here on Pittsburgh, or can we move on?
I'm good moving on.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out Evgeny Malkin. I still think he rocks. 4,800. I don't know. If I needed a one-off sub 5K, I would at least consider it because I genuinely think he's still a good hockey player. And Philly likes to give up goals. Sometimes they don't though. And that brings us to the Flyer side of things. I guess we will showcase the sheet real quick. Oh wow, look at that, Pittsburgh. I mean, I guess that's what happens when you hold the Rangers to 10 shots on goal or whatever. But yeah, Pittsburgh, Philly, goaltending. See it live. On the Flyer side of the house, we did get a practice today. Forster, Cates, Brink stays together. Tippett, Couturier, Michkov, Kuzmenko, Lawton, Konechny. You may notice that Owen Tippett is designated without a power play unit. That's what we saw against.
Was he on that line last game slate?
They flipped them mid-game,
okay.
And then they ran this in practice. So
because he got 11 minutes is all I saw. I was like, oh my god, $6,000 for 11 minutes. Like, dear God. And
honestly, that's going to happen when you're beating Edmonton or when you're beating Connor McDavid by so much. Like, I don't know. I don't like. It's not the end of the world to me that but like the fact that he's not on a power play unit, it seems, is very strange. But I think what's happening is they're trying to inflate Kuzmenko's value to dump him on some other team. But the only person here to mention is Michkov. He came back out of break, looked absolutely incredible. He's been trending up for most of the season. Couturier and Michkov has been an unbelievable duo together at 5-on-5. Of course, you're not paying $4,700 for Sean Couturier, but $5,300 Michkov, I still think the world of him. I think his upside is there, and certainly against a Pittsburgh team that can't buy a save. I mean, good God, the one guy with some finishing talent on Philly is Michkov. So I do like the play. I'm not sure that I'll get there, but hey, with that promo you mentioned, I'll have multiple lineups in the 5-5-5. So I may have to mix in a Michkov or two just so I don't find myself on a watch list if he goes off against freaking Pittsburgh of all teams.
Yeah.
Anyone have anything?
I think that was all well said.
All right.
Yeah,
Risto,
you got it all. Nothing there.
Risto was 3,400. He's been with that Michkov power play unit that includes Konechny, so I'm calling that power play 1. So at least somewhat interesting at 3,400.
Yeah, sure.
Let's head over to Calgary and Washington. The matchup here, you might not be surprised to find that Washington looks pretty good and Calgary not so much. I guess I'm a little surprised because Washington has been a little flaky as of late, but then they came out against Edmonton and just absolutely put the boots to them. So I think that's showing up a fair amount here. On the Calgary front, we did get Connor Zary back last game. Of course, this is, again, just one game of I guess, expected fantasy point production, but he was very good on the Backlund Coleman line. Coronado slides up alongside Hubert O'Kadri, and Morgan Frost joins that trio with Weegar on the top power play. Mike, any interest in the Calgary side of the house?
Not really, no. I mean, Calgary's played a fairly weak schedule leading up to this, and even that, I mean, I'm seeing them not pop at all in this. We kind of left Washington not for dead, but we were kind of like, okay, here's the turn that we were maybe expecting a little bit with this team and how they were performing early. But it seems like they've turned things around recently. So, both defensively and offensively. Maybe, pick a one-off if we're looking at a game stack, bring it back. But that's about it for the Calgary side for me.
We're not going to get a Huberdeau tout? Come on, Mike. Come on.
Maybe that's coming later.
I got Calgary's. Do you weight that expected goal sheet like to the last 5 or something, or to like most recent games? Like you're right. If you go like last 10-ish, Calgary or Washington looks a little looser, but yeah, if you're gonna just use the Edmonton sample. Okay.
If you're talking about this here, I use the decay factor. I
think it's smart. Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you don't decay it, you're right. Like Washington or Calgary looks a little better in this matchup, but honestly, I'm not Calgary.
Yeah. We're probably getting Logan Thompson anyway too, so not even a goalie angle there, like some of the donkeys like to do. If it's not Logan Thompson, they're going to give up 1 billion goals. Like whatever. On the Washington side, Ovi 7,500. The dude was put on earth to score goals. I believe this DK points per 60 mark is the best in the league. It's adjusted, so it's not like it's not just a raw number to put next to like McKinnon or McDavid or Draisaitl or whatever. But I was very surprised to load in the showdown slate from Sunday and see that OV's number was just superior to Draisaitl's with how good Draisaitl has been, which just goes to show what a damn shame it is that OV took that awkward collision and broke it. I mean, he broke his fucking leg, and he's just like, actually, I'm fine. Russian machine never breaks, even though he's fucking 40. So like, OV's still a great play. Everyone else here, it's a little thin. Dubois, Wilson, I really like them, but they're a combined 10.9K. Connor McMichael with them. The line's great. They just don't do a ton of shooting because I think they just pass the puck in the back of the net or something. The 15K for that line stack is something. And of course, Dubois on the top power play in place of Chychrun, which if you've not been paying attention, they moved off the two defenseman power play one. I think right before the break, but definitely coming out of it, they've abandoned it. So I think there's a lot to like in Washington. It's just kind of all through Ovi, in my opinion. Yeah. But anyone else have anyone besides Ovi to tout here?
Please, dear God, don't stack them without Ovechkin.
Yeah.
Just don't. Everyone keeps doing it. I don't know what they're doing. Like the Sims are just smashing their heads at the keyboard. Throw them one off. Like, nice play, buddy, but who's like, that's not the guy. That's not the right guy. You missed the point here. So don't do that. Don't be stupid. That's all I got.
I mean, you can't miss out on those one-off Strome, double assists on that. Or
DJ. Can I drag DJ or DJ drag like betting every shot prop that isn't Ovechkin? Like, who's going to take the first open shot? Ovechkin. Why are you betting shot props on Dubois and Wilson or whatever he was doing? Like, sorry, DJ. It's just slander. I got to slander him for that one. Like, come on, buddy.
Fortunately, I mean, I will say what we're missing DJ for here is the donkey chalk indicator, because I honestly have no idea where people are going to go, because I'm just like, oh my God, Ovi, what a play. Oh my God, Carolina, come on. You got to be kidding me. Buffalo? So I think we've got a lot, so we're going to need him to weigh in at some point on what he's playing in order to really make sure we have ownership tuned correctly, but maybe we'll get a late update in the Discord. All right. Let's head over to Dallas at Columbus. Speaking of head bashing into keyboards, yes, the Columbus Blue Jackets do play at home. Inflate everyone's fantasy point projection by a factor of 10. Dallas doesn't look great, but Columbus just has been riding Magic Fairy Dust, which, to their credit, they have been all year, so this is nothing new. But Dallas's matchup certainly looks quite good. There's a lot of pieces on Dallas that I think anyone with even tangentially related to the Moinescape podcast just adores. So starting things off with the Dallas side of this matchup, we have kind of wonky lines. That's not correct. Where's Essel Lindell? There he is. Maybe I didn't update the power plays. Nope, I did. We're good. Okay. Anyway, top line, Jason Robertson, Maverick Bourque, Rupe Hintz last game, which they won. So expecting that to hold. Mason Marchment, Matt Duchene, Michael Granlund, Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, Evgeny Dadonov. Stankoven was a scratch. I mean, this was a guy who was legitimately getting Calder buzz. I will say my off-season take of Logan Stankoven is not a guy to take in Best Puck or in the Calder market was spot on. About the only thing I got right preseason besides that Ovi's an alien. I mean, I don't think it matters because I think Maverick Bourque is just outright replacing Logan Stankoven as like their prospect of choice because he can play center. But it's at least something to keep an eye on because, he should ultimately trend down toward 3K and we've seen what he can do when given a role. So keep an eye on Stankoven. Obviously now is not the time likely. Well, the other thing to note,
I'm pretty sure I saw that he's drawing back in tomorrow.
Okay.
I don't know where that's going to sit, but
yeah, I don't know if I saw lines. They played a back-to-back, so I don't think we saw lines. But honestly, maybe I didn't look. I mean, we'll get to Edmonton next, but Edmonton played a back-to-back and practice today, so like, I think that's against the CBA. Maybe it's because they were in the afternoon; they are allowed to do so. The games were in the afternoon, so maybe that's why. So maybe they did practice and I missed it. But anyway, Leon Bichelle, defensive guy for Dallas, got hurt and did not return. So I'm expecting him to miss. I have no idea who their seventh defenseman is. I recall Alex Petrovic, but if he's not even in the league, don't flame me. I have no idea who it's going to be. All that to say, Thomas Harley, come on down. 5,600 in a matchup against Columbus. His line mates, or his power play mates, Wyatt, Jason Robertson, Rupe, and Matt Duchene, all of them are reasonable in their own right. I, of course, think that Jason Robertson is the premier pickup there, given that he's not on the line with Jamie Benn to drag him down, and he's coming off of a hat trick. I'm finding it very difficult to see the field not looking at Thomas Harley and Jason Robertson against Columbus and saying, yep, I want in. But again, there's just so many spots to do it. So be very careful. But Matt, any thoughts on where you go on the Dallas side?
I mean, I wasn't going to steal your Harley thunder. Excuse me. You got to it. Like, he's just, let's be honest, he's too cheap. That's about all I got. I mean, I'm not going to waste your guys' time on this one.
All right. Thomas Harley, by the way, since the beginning of last season, just another thing that I tweeted. If you have no idea what I tweet, here you go. Thomas Harley scored his 23rd goal at even strength since the start of the 2023-2024 season, tying Mr. Quinn Hughes. You may have heard of him. The only defenseman he remains behind on this list is Cale Makar, who has 24. I mean, this is absurd. And yes, even strength includes overtime. And he's been a little bit of, just, oh my God, 3-on-3, Thomas Harley scoring. Like, yeah, is that sustainable? I don't know. But this dude rocks. He is an awesome hockey player. He doesn't just shoot. He doesn't just get power play 1 and points. Like, he blocks shots too. Like, this guy is just a 4-category stat stuffer. So 5,600 is just, it's a supreme discount. I'm absolutely all in. But Mike, were you chiming in there?
No, you said that all well. I mean, I'm still, even though I should hate Wyatt Johnson for what he did to me a couple weeks ago, he's someone I will always hold near and dear to my heart as well, in addition to Harley. So, I think the ownership goes line 1, maybe find some other pieces down below that lineup on the Dallas side.
Yeah, if they move Johnston back with the top line, that's just an absolute home run. So keep an eye on that. We're not positive what the line configuration will be. All right, on the Columbus side, no changes.
Before you go, I had this prepped just for Columbus.
Okay.
Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
You're going to go into it. Please don't do it, people. Please don't do it. Keep going. That's my warning on this one.
They are absolutely going to do it.
They're going to. The prices went down. Keep going. I'm sorry. I had to throw
no. We have no. Well, I guess new is Boone Jenner is in the lineup. He's certainly not relevant for DFS at this juncture. 4,800, not on the top power play. That top power play, top line correlation remained untouched. Voronkov, Fantilli, Marchenko, 19.4K. Mix in a Zach Werenski auto 30 bomb, another 7,500. That's going to get you upwards of 27K for that foursome. Kent Johnson, 5,500 for a guy who just refuses to shoot but loves scoring goals. Like, I don't know what to make of it. But again, I've seen it enough. Oh, they're going to be 10%. They're a mega jam. Oh, wow, they're 25%. Like, they're going to be 20% because they're such a good play. They come in at 40%. Like, every time I think it can't get higher, it just keeps going. So I have no interest here. Of course, there's nothing down the lineup that interests me either. Anyone have anything to say beyond what Matt provided with the heating and hawing
analysis?
Well, okay,
their expected goals been trending down. Like, their expected goal trend down. Prices are like at highs still. Fantilli's 6,900. It looks. If you're looking at the spreadsheet, if you look at the thing, sure, it looks nice, but even still, he's overpriced. Like, let's be honest. And Voronkov and Marchenko's the only one that his price has been weird. Like, it's been up and down, but he's either gonna, I don't know, he's either gonna score 30 or 0. I'm not sure what he's gonna do, but
yep.
Have fun.
Well, isn't this, because I didn't think about this until you had brought this up, transitioning into this game. Isn't this the DJ, like, Groundhog Day, seeing his shadow moment like we needed all season? like this specific game? Because I know he's talked about I can't stack against Dallas, and then halfway through the season he's like, I'm going to stack against Dallas. It's not the same anymore. And now we're talking about this Columbus matchup here, where we're trying to identify, okay, are they going to be the chalk again against Dallas? Like this is the shadow moment we needed to get that gauge on what are we going to see? 20%, 15%, 3.
Well, unfortunately for the audience, I did not subscribe to Live Barn. That was a topic in the Discord earlier. I'm getting to why it's relevant because DJ's at a beer league game right now, and we might be able to get his take on whether Kirill Marchenko, wearing the full shield, wearing the full cage at 6K coming off of that injury, is going to smash or not. Like, I do think that is sort of a very, very good I guess, lore of the Morning Skate podcast, where DJ just refuses to stack against teams for God knows what reason, because especially on slates like this, it's priced in, I don't think Zach Werenski, the way he's been playing, is a $7,500 player. He's certainly closer to that, $8,400 McDavid-ish like price tag. If we're talking like for like, then you factor in there's no Makar on this slate. Who's going to take the top off at defense? Well, it's Zach Werenski, and the rest is sort of the angle there. It's just a matter of, obviously Fantilli looks good. And so is Marchenko at 6K going to take a outsized amount of ownership because he's going to project pretty well for that price? That's sort of what I think we need to figure out in order to properly assess the situation, but no amount of assessment will matter. Just headboard wham, whatever you got to do, jam in Columbus, win money, unlike us who will fade them and lose.
So join the MSP Discord to find out if DJ sees his shadow in the morning, and that would mean that Marchenko goes for a Hattie. So, all
right, thank God. I moved over to Edmonton and Tampa. I got very sad because Savoy was not listed on the slate, but it turns out it's Matt Savoy on DraftKings, not Matthew Savoy. Anyway, Edmonton at Tampa. Like I mentioned, Edmonton gets absolutely waxed in back-to-backs against the Flyers and the Capitals. Probably two teams you shouldn't be giving up touchdowns to, but that's neither here nor there. They are not looking too hot as a result. However, Tampa has also been pretty weak as of late. They gave up I think they gave up a bonus to Jesus Christ, I can't speak. They gave up a ton of shots to Seattle, which I think gave Vasi the bonus or somewhere very close to it. Yeah. So this game does look like one of the top game stacks on the entire night. 6.1 expected goals pace. That's only behind Florida and Nashville, which we'll get to. And then sort of up in the same echelon as Carolina, Montreal, Dallas, Columbus, and Detroit, Minnesota, which, okay, we will unpack that when we get there. But anyway, on the Edmonton side, we saw a practice today that did not have Connor McDavid because, he got the day off. But there was no placeholder for Connor McDavid. There was no, Derek Ryan, skating in center between Zach Hyman and RNH or something. It was just 4 lines that any of which of them I would not be surprised to see broken up. The one I feel most confident in is, of course, Savoy, Draisaitl, Podkolzin. Podkolzin and Draisaitl have been awesome together all season. Matt Savoy elevated to the NHL, put alongside Draisaitl, and actually looked pretty good. He picked up his first point on a really sick pass. I think it was intentional. I don't want to give him too much credit, but he is a player with a ton of prospect pedigree. Sabres took him at number 9 in 2022. He was traded for Ryan McLeod in, of course, the greatest trade in Mood's history. Just absolutely love that trade for the Sabres because Ryan McLeod, my dude. But what Savoy is a playmaker. He has phenomenal junior stats as far as playmaking, not so much as far as shooting. So even though he's 3,100, I don't think you're missing out on a ton if you don't play him. But I think that makes Draisaitl I'm not going to say a lock because the matchup is not easy. The pricing we've talked about. It's not like Draisaitl's the only guy underpriced on this slate, but Draisaitl has just been simply unmatched across the NHL this year. So I'm highly interested in Draisaitl here, almost exclusively as a one-off. We saw RNH with Janmark and Connor Brown. I think that sticks. And then I'm just guessing McDavid goes in with where Jeff Skinner was alongside Hyman and Arvidsson. So like, we'll see. But I think Jeff Skinner's being scratched here. Anyone want to tout Mr. Connor McDavid? He got his day off. Is he good to go? Or is he just going to be Mr. Passenger like he was this weekend?
My only note on this game is McDavid sucks. Don't click him in. So, okay, I lied. I got one more. Tampa Bay's been a sneaky D funnel. So, like Bouchard's price is 6,500 is pretty reasonable. And if McDavid would miss, you'd think it's all Draisaitl, Bouchard, running things. I mean, Hyman could go stand by the net doing whatever he does. Well, last year was scoring all the goals. This year, just standing there. But if you're not playing Draisaitl, you're starting with Draisaitl, you're considering Bouchard and moving on is how I view it.
Yeah, I have no other notes. I think that was well said.
All right. So McDavid, Draisaitl, mini stack, the Systema special, absolute given.
Did I tell? Oh no, is that what he do that all the time? I stop clicking on him sometimes. He's confusing me what he's doing. Like jamming Tanev or something at weird prices, and he scored, of course. So.
Yeah, well, he
in his utility spot too.
The utility defender, crap defender, second goal of the year, of course.
He often does 3 studs. I mean, so McDry is certainly of that, but like over the weekend he played Brandon Tanev, ironically enough.
Brandon Tanev. I thought it was Chris Tanev for Toronto. Okay, that doesn't even help his case. I don't know.
No,
he make it worse.
But Tanev had 3 shots in 1 shift, and I was like, "Yeah, that's it." But he didn't do anything else. Anyway, it was to play, I think, like Matthews, McKinnon, and I don't know, Apostle or something like that. So that's just the meta, and I think that makes sense when pricing is like this. You just jam in the best plays because they're like, you're paying 6,500 for Zach Hyman or 8,200 for Leon Draisaitl. Like, of course, there's other teams to look at too for comparison, but you're gonna be better off just taking a bunch of studs, in my estimation. So like, it's not even the dumbest thing I've seen, but certainly annoying when it works out for damn sure.
And last year, like I'll support it. Last year, this time of season, like you start to see the teams that we have the playoff push. Like I'm still expecting to see some of these minutes shift, and not seeing it on some of these teams. But you're going to see minutes shift. You're going to see. I know McKinnon's not on the slate. You're going to see McKinnon start flinging 20 shot attempts a game and just ignoring his teammates. So there is something to it. Like these studs, if they keep him like this 8,500 level. There is something to it. At the end of the year, the superstars tend to take over, and if DraftKings falls asleep at the wheel, like there's something to it at the end of the year. Is all I gotta say. It's not the worst idea this time of year. We're getting closer to like even I'll do it too. So anyway,
speaking of $8,500 forwards, Nikita Kucherov, pretty good player. We saw a power play unit today that made sense. A huge first step for John Cooper toward whatever the fuck was wrong with him for a few months in there. But Gensel, Point, Kucherov, top line, top power play. Joining them, Brandon Hagel, Victor Hedman. Now, yes, maybe they do some Kucherov plays the full shift and whatever, but we're not going to see Darren Radish and Mitchell Chaffee first over the boards for God knows what reason. Like, we're getting the 5 best players in. And in this matchup, I think that's pretty interesting. I mean, again, they just gave up 6 to Philly and 7 to Washington. Certainly can blame some of that on goaltending. But the Patrick Waugh is not walking through that door. Well, actually, the Islanders are coming up, so let's not talk about Patrick Waugh. But some other good goalie, Dominic Hasek, is not walking through that door. So Kucherov is of high interest to me. I'm still sort of on team, like, you can play Kucherov one-off, and I kind of prefer that. Braden Point's price, though, 6,300 is at least more reasonable than it was heading into break, where I think he was around the 8K mark. And Jake Gensel as well, so that full line is going to cost you 22K. It's not the end of the world. It's not great, but it's not the 24K that we saw a couple weeks ago. Anyone interested in Mr. Brandon Hagel, who just continues to score goals? I mean, the goal he scored shorthanded. I think it was against Seattle. Is that the only game they played?
Yeah,
it was just outrageous. Like, this dude just is crazy. He's priced with the likes of Vetrano, Hyman, Voronkov, Kuzmenko, Zibanejad.
Down. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a leading question a little bit there. I mean, so I think, is there a possibility they go 11-7? I saw that they had, Atkinson doing his thing where he might just get scratched and 7D practicing. So I think that's a possibility at least, which would bring, everything more into play. And I don't think the field usually reacts as well to that kind of stuff. So Hagel one off. Like you said about the price discount overall for line one, like that makes me more interested in that, or just the Kucherov one off, like you mentioned as well. Yeah.
I mean, I'll even admit, because I was not happy with what I did. The Braden Point price, I was stuck on a weird spot with whenever they last played against the Seattle game. I actually one-offed him, which I think is really stupid, but with that price, I needed a center. I did it. And I still think it's there. Like, you can build, if you can afford him with Kucherov, go for it. He's getting low. It's playable. Otherwise, I usually would say, like, it's Braden Point for 7.5K. What are you doing? But at this price, yeah, sure, consider it.
Yeah. Like most things, I'm sure DJ was not listening to me because he was planning what he was going to say next. But I did observe that on Saturday slate that you won off Braden Point, and I said that to him. I'm
Still
like,
hated that lineup. I still pissed about that lineup.
I mean, do we think that Cooper, comes off the Four Nations and is like, oh, maybe, yeah, we should just put like our good players on a power play, and that's actually better.
yeah, whatever it is, it works. So yeah, maybe that's the experience that led him to this. But I did like your 11-7 note. Like you mentioned, Atkinson, moved to the fourth line. He rotated in on the power play too. I have no idea what that means, but if they go 11-7, then yeah, that certainly makes the Brandon Hagels of the world pretty interesting. JJ Moser back. He got some absurd projection for reasons this weekend. So he was like 11-12% owned in contests. So keep it out for that.
How many plays did he play before he got hurt? It was like some really bad, and you kind of have it at the expected fantasy points. They scooped up that somehow. Some optimizers did something too. I don't know what they picked up. I saw it everywhere. Everywhere had Moser as like the best player on earth.
Yeah,
2.9K. I was like, what is going on here? He did play with Hedman, I guess, but
yeah, I think that's just it. Like, I don't know. I have no idea because this is only looking at that last game where he must have had a block shot in like 4 shot attempts or something. So he just got like some amount of but he had 2.8. So we had a shot and a block. I don't know. Even before that, he had 10 points in 27 games. I don't see much there. So just don't play JJ Moser. If they try and tell you he's a good play, he's not. Like, yeah, he could hit, but just pick another guy who could hit.
DonkeyDFS play. Don't do it. No, DonkeyDFS doesn't approve. Don't click JJ
Absolutely.
Moser. Done.
All right. Let's head over to the Rangers and the Islanders. Yes, that's right. We are just now getting out of the 7:00 window of games and heading into the 7:30 window. So fantastic work.
We're not doing better without BJ. God damn it! I'll stop talking.
I think this one's entirely on me because I was too well prepared. With too many
you have everything today. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So Rangers, Islanders. Of course, the Rangers looked pretty awful against Pittsburgh. That comes through. They've not looked good as a team for an entire season now, so whatever. That is not what I meant to do, but there's my R code if you're interested. Where is my... There it is. All right. On the Ranger side, I'm just guessing at lines. We saw lines get jumbled last game because, of course, they did. But I'm guessing they go into this game, Panarin, Miller, Lafreniere, Cooley, Zibanejad, Smith, VC, Trocheck, Kaliev, whatever. Vincent Trocheck, by the way, has a broken finger. He's just going to play hockey, but I would not play him in DFS. That certainly worries me. Any of you boys interested in anything here? I can't.
This
I can't
game
see
is
it
a
myself.
5.5 total, and these prices still suck. I mean, Fox, but even then, I'm not interested. It's like, I don't know. That's all.
Well, so I'm pretty sure I saw Offman get called up, and I don't know if that means he'll play or not. But I think that's interesting.
Yeah, it's worth noting Chris Kreider missed last game, so he could come back, and obviously that would be even less of a reason for Othman to play. Let's see, is Othman even on the slate? I'm guessing he's not.
Probably not.
No, he's not. Okay, so we're not even going to talk about that. But
Yeah.
I do like Brennan Hoffman a whole lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're keeping an eye out for Ranger stuff, but I don't see anything pricing wise that would make it move if it were to work out. Igor 7,600, kind of interesting. If the team's just going to play dead, he could get 35 saves easily.
Well, it'll be interesting to see because he played part of that game on Saturday, and then he ended up playing Sunday. So you might get quick here. I kind of doubt it, but that would be not fully 3 games in 4 days, but pretty close to that. And I know they're coming off the break, so I probably would expect Igor, but I mean, I think quick watch is on.
Let's see. They do not play until Friday, so I think we're safe on Igor.
And yeah.
But yeah, certainly we will see. On the Islanders side, I guess they're slate favorites. Okay, cool. Good for that. Lee Horvat, Anthony Duclair were power play 1, line 1 correlated against Dallas. They wound up losing, and they did I think it was a 6-on-5 power play that did not include Duclair. So I think that's just a factor of 6-on-5, but at least worth noting that this was, at least there's some reason that this could not be fully correlated, and it is 15K. So like Matt mentioned on Sunday, this stack was like 15-20% owned on an 8-game slate against Dallas of all teams. Yes, they were on a back-to-back, so whatever. But there was something there pushing the field to these guys. I think it's fine, honestly. Like Anthony Duclair, there's been a lot of chatter about how his injury was really, really hampering his play. And he said coming out of the break, he felt great. He's not inclined to say anything else, of course, but he scored, had 4 shots in that game. So I think he's good. 4K is certainly not the worst price in the world, but you look at the long-term trends for him, he is very much an above-average player offensively. It's just this season has been a season from hell from him. He got hurt immediately. I think he was grinding through that. So there's your sort of no-ball take on Anthony Duclair. But unfortunately, I think the field's just going to get there anyway because they see line 1 power play 1, and they're like, yep, click him in anyway. But can I interest in let me just pick someone. Mike, can I interest you in some line 2 action with Holmstrom, Nelson, and Palmieri? Brock Nelson, the future Minnesota Wild center.
So please don't.
So Holmstrom moving to that line. I was trying to look while you're talking here to see if he got any power play action. I don't think he did. With
he and Siplikov both played on that unit. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing too.
What other forward is it? I mean,
right.
God.
I mean, this game, it grades out to be a high-paced game for me. It everything checks out to be a high-scoring game. But you see these 2 teams together, and all I can get in my head is that this is a 2-1 game, right? But with that being said, I mean, if ownership isn't going to get there with either of those top 2 lines, I have interest. Now, I was originally thinking maybe of stacking without Duclair, regardless of power play role. But I agree with your point on that. I felt like coming back, there just hasn't been the same player there, and they may be still struggling with that, like you said. But I didn't notice that comment about feeling good coming off that break, which again might be just player talk, that type of thing. But I have some interest in that side for sure. But it's gonna. I mean, if they're getting ownership, then I'm probably not going there. So
yeah, I think they're gonna get something again. They're just the right price to fit with things. So I don't know. Not super interested.
All right. I've just shout out to Saul because he's going to troll me on Zizekas when he shows up on the rainbow chart on the slate because I played him once and I think I actually got away with it. I think I got 5.6 from him or whatever, and it was fine. But Zizekas, Pajot, and Siplikov is obnoxiously cheap. 2 of those guys get power play time. Pajot, top power play. Again, mentioned the uncertainty there, but 3,200 for Pajot. That line, you're not going to see much cheap garbage, and I think that line is about as good as you're going to find cheap garbage wise.
Shout out to I know he's not really an MSP, but Nawada or Nick, just his favorite fucking player ever. Yep. Probably already in his lineup. Already clicked him in. Anyway,
that's right.
If he happens to listen, I just had to say it.
He's gonna text me tomorrow and be like, "Oh my god, how did Matt know?" Yeah, dude. Nick Nawada is literally the nicest man on the planet. It is so funny. Anyway, because I remember trolling him online. I think about maybe him or some other idiot he had in his lineup, and then I met him in person, and I'm like, oh my god.
I felt so bad when I met him. I hate how he plays, and then he's just the fucking nicest dude ever. I'm like, oh god, of course he is.
Yeah.
I was like, I could sit down and talk to him for a long time. I was like, oh, god damn it. That's always how it works.
Terrible. Hate when that happens. All right. Seattle, St. Louis. I think this is literally the first game we can just cross off. There's absolutely nothing here. St. Louis is absolutely just detonating play. Like they're just no interest in anything happening on either side of the ice. So gonna fly through this. The power plays got rearranged in Seattle. Kakko, Benier, Schwartz, Dunn, Wright was power play last game. And then Bjorkstrand, Stevenson, Montour, McCann, Eberle. Eberle is back, but on the fourth line. Not expecting any changes here. So what you see is what you get. Pricing is, again, fine, but like 4,300 Shane Wright, is it really worth it on a 12-game slate? I don't think so. Anyone have anyone else to shout out on the Seattle front?
Nope.
No.
Great. St. Louis. Again, they just kind of ran over Colorado. Surprise. The first slate in forever I play Nate McKinnon. They do absolutely nothing. So congratulations to me on that. Bushnevich, Thomas, Neighbors, Holloway, Shen, Kairu. That second line is fully power play correlated. Joseph, Sundqvist, Zach Bolduc. Is he a Zach?
He's a Zach, I think. He messes everything up always. Or yeah, you think it's I thought it was that too.
With an H, with a K. Oh, I bet it's with a K. Oh my god. Yep, there we go. Nailed it. Absolutely nothing. Just nothing to see here. Let's keep it going. Florida, Nashville. The matchup looks pretty solid, but then you look at the Florida lineup and you're like, well, that's not very good. So let's recap. Matthew Tkachuk out. He tried to gut through an injury and apparently made it season threatening during the Four Nations. Paul Maurice says they expect him to come back this season. Not very good news. Eetu Luostarinen, in I guess better news, is home. He's expecting a child, so he's not with the team. Meaning, I think we're just getting a full dose of Mackie Samoskevich here, 3,900. Unfortunately, we saw last game he was not top power play with the top line. It was Sam Bennett, but Samoskevich rocks. Like, I genuinely think he's an awesome player. And so him being in the top 6 of the Florida Panthers is just kind of wild to me. So I'm looking forward to, at least seeing if the field's going to play this second line in Florida. Because, Erod's a bit priced up. Sam Bennett, of course, is priced up, but he gets the power play bump. So, like, you could talk me into a Bennett Samoskevich mini. Matt, can I interest you in some Mackie Samoskevich?
I was playing Mackie. When you say Mac Attack, not McKinnon, none of those Mac guys. You're talking about Mackie. Like that's clearly he's taking the title over. Sorry, Nate. Let's see ya. I'm in on it. That's about like his price is just wrong for what he's been doing. Let's be honest. Even your spreadsheet's showing it with the expected fantasy points and the actuals. So jam in however you want. Like what you're saying, one off. Tie him to Sam. I don't know. Do whatever you want. He's in play.
Yeah. I personally like making Bennett, Samoskevich, and either Reinhardt or Verhaeghe. I think that's kind of fun. But Mike, any thoughts on the Florida side?
I completely agree. And I mean, the one thing that might be interesting is if the game gets started, maybe they get a couple power plays where like maybe you see that switch between Bennett and Mackie. Happen during the game.
Think so? They fucking love Sam Bennett anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, but they have used Mackie over him previously.
Yeah. What was it? Mackie when Bob. This is it. Before Bob was on not paternity leave, but whatever. Before Bob had to like basically not play, but he couldn't be de-rostered. They had to send Samoskevich down to the AHL. For a couple of games. At that time, he was power play 1 with a fully healthy Florida Panthers team. He was power playing over both Bennett and Verhaeghe. So, like, not saying that's going to happen here, but like we've at least seen it. And then, of course, he came back and didn't get that role back. But whatever. We've seen it. I think the team really likes him, and yeah, the pricing makes sense. Florida's also a team, like I just said, they had to send Samoskevich down for cap reasons. Without Kachuk, who's not currently on IR, and without Eetu Luosterainen, who can't go on IR, I don't think they can even afford to call anyone up. So like they might just roll 11-6 here, like skaters wise.
I'm pretty sure they did call someone up, but I still think the point stands where
stop. I'm right always. Don't challenge me.
No, but I still think the point stands though, where you're just going to see that top 6 play a lot of minutes.
Yeah. All right. On the Nashville side, I mean, we showcased it. The matchup is supposed to be good on this side too. Well, actually, never mind. Scratch that. It's actually bad. Okay, great. Phew. I'm glad I misremembered because, God damn it, Philip Forsberg is going to be the death of me. Yeah, I don't know what the lines are going to be. They just lost 5-0 to the New Jersey Devils. So I don't think there's anything here. That's obviously not what happened or what's going to happen. So let's just, can we just move on?
I think this one's game stackable, especially with Mackey's price. That's about the only thing I'd throw out there. Like if you think Nashville finally does something, which I've played them all year and I don't think they only when they're 20% owned do they do anything. Just consider it's one of the ones you could consider because I think your sheet must have picked up, as you said, the decaying. If you like look longer term, expected goals still look like Nashville looks decent, but after I think a couple of the recent games here, kind of looks like shit. But I don't know. I think it's game stackable, but that's about it.
And honestly, I think one of the most important notes here is that Nashville not really a team that I expect to thrive on efficiency, and the Corsi matchup is just dismal. I mean, it is it is behind the Philadelphia Flyers. It's like, you know, when you're generating fewer shots than the Flyers are, like at 5-on-5, like that's not a great sign.
Oh yeah, they don't do anything at 5-on-5. They're the worst. I don't know why I clicked them in ever. Let's just move on from Nashville.
And I mean, like,
I'm going to play them tomorrow, and I'm going to regret it. I'm just announcing it right now.
I mean, I don't hate the game stack idea, but I was just looking through some.
But you're a dumbass, Matt. Thanks, Mike.
I mean, some of the things I think that are supporting that longer term view for Nashville. I mean, like you look back at even their last 10 before Colorado and New Jersey, their last 2 games. I mean, it's a bunch of nobodies, you know. So I know that's inflating some of those numbers as well.
Yeah. All right. Let's head to Detroit, Minnesota. I did mention that the rainbow sheet shows that apparently there's something here. Detroit's, I guess, driving things because Minnesota has not been great offensively, but one of the higher expected goal paces, a decent Corsi pace. Just, I guess, no goals are happening, so there's your protection. But hey, sometimes when that happens, I tend to go above and beyond and do something silly like a game stack of the game where the goalies are just driving the bus. Because on Detroit, Dylan Larkin has been unbelievable. I mean, the world kind of woke up to it during the Four Nations, where he was like actively good and like worked his way from 4th line up to the top 6 in the championship game. Like, you know, so good for him. But that's just a continuation of an incredible run of play from him. This line with Lucas Raymond and Marco Kasper has been dynamic. It sucks that Marco Kasper gets replaced on the power play by Patrick Kane, because otherwise this was an 18K line going against the Minnesota power penalty kill, which is one of the league's worst. So
sit there waving their sticks at people. They don't play. There's like I'm gonna not. Let me talk about the Wild. I'll just stop. Otherwise, I'm gonna turn into what's the guy's name? GA here, but I'm like the reverse GA. He's just like quoting Russo and just like greatest team ever. I'm like the worst team ever. They've had penalty kill issues for like 3 years now. Someone's head has to roll or something. How do you have? Anyway, I'll stop. Stop me.
I honestly, I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute. So we'll get back to them. Second line for Detroit: DeBrincat, Comfort, Kane. Michael Rasmussen, we're expecting the miss. That makes their bottom 6 actually not useful. I mean, they're not very useful to begin with, but like Rasmussen at least stole some minutes a lot of the time. This 4th line's not going to play at all. I mean, Soderblom, Veleno, Tarasenko. Like, I think if this game's competitive, Comfort, DeBrincat, Kane, it's going to play an absolute ton for less than 16K. you get two guys who are on the power play and JT Compher, who just loves being shitty, but like, you know, he's 3,300 and he's between two good players. I don't know. I could at least see a path to that line stack working out all right too. Mike, anything to add before we head over to the Factory of Sadness? That is the playoff bound Minnesota Wild.
I mean, are we supposed to be scared of the Eriksson Ek line anymore? I mean, I know that was something, you know, for the last few years.
He's hurt or something. I don't know. He hasn't been good all year.
I mean, I thought he was pretty good for Sweden, but you know,
maybe he just like plays down to teams. I don't know. Something's weird with him. I don't know.
I mean, he's also probably being anchored down a little bit with who his line mates have been this year versus previous years. But I guess what I'm saying is that I mean that to your point, that Larkin line has been really good with a good sample. You know, so I mean, all those guys popping. It would be nice Casper getting the power play time, but yeah, I mean, I do have interest in trade one.
All right, same here on the Minnesota side. The lines looking like Boldy, Rossi, Zuccarello, Foligno, Eriksson Ek, Hinostroza. Interestingly, last game Hinostroza was on the power play one over Marco Rossi. Honestly, to me, it makes sense because Hino is a right shot, and like, I mean, I don't think they have any other right shots in their forward rank. I actually think that's true.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Actually insane. But like, he's actually a decent player. You know, he's not a superstar by any stretch, but like, if you're talking about a guy 2,900 on the left flank of a power play one, Hinostroza is not the worst option. You look at his long-term trends, and he's like an NHL league average offensive player, which, you know, again, isn't what we're looking for necessarily, but getting passes from Boldy, you know, like I think that makes sense as a part of a stack. Again, the game stack, whatever. What I was going to say though is a team with Jake Middleton, Faber, Brodin, and Spurgeon as your main penalty killers. Like, can't do anything. It's just
what the
insane.
Hell? Yeah, seriously. Like at 5v5, they're like God mode and power play. They just like wave their sticks at people. I don't know what they're doing. I literally think that's kind of what they do. You can just see them like I don't know what it is. The old I don't know what's that old meme. They're like diving on the ice and the alligator one, whatever. What's that one? Yeah, they're just like slop. Yeah, I don't get what's going on out there. It's just don't watch the Wild PK. Just turn it off for 2 minutes and check the score. That's all I got.
Yeah. Oh, Mark hitting us with the this game could get chippy with the Brinket.
That's the rematch game here. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Rematch. What was the score? That game went crazy, didn't it?
Wild came back like down 3-1 and scored too late, and they won overtime, right? Yeah. Oh, the Rossi breakaway after they failed power play. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there could be a little bit of juice to this game. Not gonna lie. I might be creeping toward overruling the goals and just saying that goalies are goalies and that the expecteds will win out here. So doing something like a Detroit stack with the Hinostroza bring back, or even Boldy, you know, like just like I think that's all doable and could be a fun way to go about things.
Hinostroza point's a really good one too. Just from like if you know they are going to match the Ek line with Larkin, and we're expecting Larkin to get a bunch of minutes, then I mean, he could get some serious minutes in this game.
Yeah, another good point. All right, we have one more game. It is Chicago at Utah. So let's wrap this up with that game. Utah looking pretty good. Chicago is flatlined. Just not happening. I don't know. We had a couple fun days of Ryan Donato. Well, they were fun for everyone besides me because I'm like, wow, this is still the Chicago Blackhawks. They should be 38% owned, right? And that doesn't matter. But now they are priced as if they are a competitive team, which they're not. So expecting Slaggert, Bedard, Donato, going to cost you 15.6K. But again, it's technically in that range, but I don't think it gets any ownership. So we'll see. Seth Jones has already asked for a trade. Like, it's not looking good when one of the worst contracts in the league is like, you know what? I think I can get better somewhere else. So I don't know. I don't have any interest in Chicago. Can either of you boys talk me into Connor Bedard not being completely left for dead?
That's all you, Matt.
Go for it. I skipped this one. I didn't care.
I was waiting for resident, but our number one fan club, Matt, to chime in. But
I was gonna take the chance, but I'm just not gonna take it. Just gonna let it go.
Well,
I dragged him on some other stuff.
Matt, did you see that clip from practice where he shot an empty net?
Again? Damn it, I missed it.
I just made that up, but
I knew
very
exactly
believable.
where you're going,
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the Utah matchup, just another one that you're like, oh wow, this is going to be fun, right? Well, $19K for Keller, Cooley, Schmaltz.
Oh, thank God they priced him up.
Like, sorry. Yeah, I mean, yeah, at least that's in there. Carconi, Hayton, Gunther, $15K.
No,
I mean, Gunther
really.
and Hayton were obnoxiously owned. Well, actually, they weren't that owned when DJ smashed with them, but that was against LA. And I think they picked up 10 to 12% last night. So 3 games in 4 nights. Dylan Gunther, 6,900. Very nice. Barrett Hayton on a run of a lifetime right now with both his expected fantasy points and, of course, having a hat trick on a Saturday night to show for it. I got to say, Michael Carconi is also one of those guys where I think I talked about this before the break too, but like, oh my God, he's on the second line. We're going to project him for 16 minutes. Well, if you have anything that does point per minute, and then just applies 16 minutes to that, you are getting a lot of Michael Carconi in your lineups too. So this full line stack, I think, is going to be giga jammed. So just another spot that I'm just like watching to be like, hey, one of these has to fall through the cracks. I think like not everything can be 18% owned. But just keep that in mind that like this stack is there. It seems unassailable in all honesty. Like I don't think that Alex Kerfoot or Matthias Michelli has any sort of threat of like drawing into this line the way that they're playing right now. And obviously Gunther is, the focal point of their power play. So I think there's a lot to like with that line. I'll be fading Clayton Keller and continuing to live to tell the tale, but maybe this is a blow up spot. Does anyone have a Clayton Keller take in particular? Because I think he's a very interesting option, especially if the Gunther line gets a hellacious amount of ownership.
This isn't a Clayton Keller take, but I'm wondering if Cooley will move into Hayton's place in the power play sooner than later. And I mean, that might not be tomorrow, but
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, we see that, or we have hints at that, and we're seeing the ownership really going to Utah too, and Utah one is getting lost in the mix. That would definitely create some interest for me there. I guess it's not a Clayton Keller specific antidote, but
I have little on this one. Like it's like they're gonna be owned and they're gonna be a good play. That's about all I got for you.
Yeah.
Don't jam it with other chalk. Maybe is the way I'd say play this one. Don't.
Yeah. Mark, refs everywhere are trembling at the thought of a Kerfoot empty net attempt. Kerfoot, I mean, peak NHL cinema. It wasn't just that the ref got drilled right in the nuts by a shot. It was that Vancouver took what probably should have been a tripping penalty or a hooking penalty with like a minute 40 to go. And the ref was getting booed like the entire time. Like, boo, you didn't make the call. Boo, ref, you suck type shit going on. 20 seconds later, Kerfoot whips the puck right into the ref's nuts. He's down on the ice. The fans are going nuts. Like, you would have thought they had just scored the goal. Like, the fans were actively cheering. The ref's down for 2 minutes. They show it on the Jumbotron. You hear the ooh, like, oh, that's not good. And then he gets up and he gets like the most tepid amount of applause you ever imagine. And the Utah broadcast is just lapping that up. Like, oh my God, these fans applauding this referee. Well, what a sign of class. Like, literal seconds ago, they were laughing at this dude getting hit in the nuts by a puck. It's just one of the funniest things you could possibly find watching a Utah-Vancouver game on a Sunday evening. So, yeah, I spend my time in great ways. Thanks for asking. All right. We have done it. We have gotten through that monstrosity of a 12-game slate. Before we do top stacks, guaranteed goals, I just wanted to thank the two of you for pitching in, helping us out when DJ is, I guess, technically he's home now. DJ could have returned, like Brad suggested here, to preview the 8 o'clock games. But so anyway, just wanted to shout you guys out. Keep crushing it out there. Do you want to do some top stacks guaranteed goals? Do you have some cooked up for us?
Oh, I didn't prepare for this segment.
I'm somehow always aware of it, never prepared for it when it comes up.
That makes 3 of us. Don't you worry.
Do you want to skip it? Or is it like a MSP staple? You got to do it.
Oh, of course you have to do it. And it would not be top stacks guarantee goals if it weren't completely half-assed anyway.
But I got to give like a legitimate top stack, not just like DJ just like squinting at a screen like, did we talk about Philadelphia? That's my one. That's the one. I like that.
I mean, you do know that we are beholden to the stacks we choose on a given slate. Like
yes, you have to play it.
All right. No one wants to go first. I will take the plunge. Top stacks. I'm going to go the Tampa nonsense route, which is the Kucherov Hagel stack. I'm going to mix in Leon Draisaitl too and just say this game gets wild. Tampa goes 11-7. You mix and match across Kucherov Hagel. You add on Leon Draisaitl. There's your game stack. There's all your money spent, but there are many ways to go about actually building a lineup with those 3 players, which feels crazy, but it's very doable. So there's my top stack of the night, a Tampa Edmonton game stack.
That's a start.
You stole my thunder. I was going to go Tampa too. I didn't think you were going to say Tampa.
You could have spoken.
I'm scrambling now. I could. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to find something else.
I'll jump in. Let's get weird. Let's go a little Anaheim 3 mini with McTavish and our boy Cutter. And let's add in probably power play 1 Jacksonville come on there. I couldn't come on here and not. I'm
going to go with Carolina. I love chasing expected fantasy points, and like Rantanen's just oozing them. Like just give me Carolina 1. Like he's some point it's gonna hit, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but gonna chase that.
I'm all for it. Do you have another one cooked up? Because I'm gonna grab a Florida 2, the Mackey, Bennett, and I'm gonna replace Rodriguez with Aaron Ekblad for the purposes of the stack. But getting that second line in Florida, I think they actually offer up a decent amount of value.
I forgot it's 2. I only plan ahead for 1.
You didn't plan ahead for any.
One of those Detroit lines. I know I'm going to end up playing mostly because I like it's showing up everything that you showed on the screen, like the expected goals. Something's there with Detroit. I'm not sure what. Is it? Am I going to click in a 6.8K Patrick Kane? I don't know, but probably just Larkin is always something through Larkin. Not sure what, but like don't be stupid play. I think just play Larkin, someone around it, and call it a day.
I like it. I don't know what the salary constraints were supposed to stick around here.
I don't know. I made it up.
Yeah. So
if you're DJ, you just take the 2 most expensive stacks in the world, and then halfway through guaranteed goals, you say, "Oh wow, my 2 stacks didn't work together," and then you do nothing else. So yeah,
I just managed to box myself into some higher priced thing because I just go weird, like Kaapo Kakko for a guaranteed goal for some reason. So now I'm just trying to pick between a couple of these lines here. We'll go Utah 1. We'll say Clayton Keller, Cooley, Schmaltz.
Okay.
I'm going to play the donkey clip again, Mike. I'm just kidding. Utah 1's going to go lower anyway. They're priced at least.
That's something.
Yeah.
All right. So for guaranteed goals, we use 11K in DraftKings salary, and we're just going to pick 6 players that are going to score goals. It's that easy, guys. So I don't know if anyone has any players in mind that they wanted to start with, because I can go first, but I don't want to be accused of taking someone's guaranteed goal here.
I'll start with, he's up to 5.3, whatever. I'll deal with it. I'll start with, as the Flyers play-by-play guy says it, Michkov. I like it. Michkov. I'll start with Michkov. I don't know, something that the Pittsburgh matchup, like they're just like on the dregs. He's going to, in his 10 minutes of ice time, he's going to score. So, or what, he got 14 last game or something, but yeah, I'll go there. I'll start. Then do I have to do my second one right away?
You don't have to.
I'm gonna, because I can't do math. I'm literally Googling it right now. 11 minus 5.3. What's that? 5.7. Thank you. I'm doing well here.
Mike, what
do I
you
need to go
got?
again? Mike, go. I'm cruising the second one.
I'm gonna just cheat then because we don't have apparently we don't have to follow the rules, so we're just guests. So I'm gonna take Matthew for my guaranteed goal. So we'll double up moves on that.
Okay. I mean that's fine. There's 6 stacks being taken. However, we did not touch on the Dallas stacking, if I recall correctly. And no, I'm not going to guarantee a Thomas Harley goal, though. I probably should. Jason Robertson, though, 7K, is my first guaranteed goal. I think that this matchup is awesome. I think Robertson with Harley and Hintz is an awesome stack in general. But give me J-Rob, power play goal, guaranteed goal.
All right. Does that leave me on the? Then I gotta go back around. Well, I was gonna. Can I not take Harley now because he fits my? I was gonna. Take Harley.
You can take Harley. You can take Harley.
I thought you took Dallas guy. Okay, I'm taking Harley then. We're gonna see.
No room.
I don't know why he's priced at what he's priced. We're gonna get a Harley goal though. We're saying it.
Now that same game parlays are legal, DJ when he bets these, because I guess he's obligated to. I don't know why he does it every time, but you can do the same game parlay of J-Rob and Harley to score a goal. So there you go. You can do that.
I like the defense idea. So I'm going to.
You guys never go defense. You got to go with.
Yeah. I'm going to go Bouchard.
I like it. Perfect.
All right. I have exactly 4K left. Samuskevich was a good option, but we ended up in the same range. It happens. I'm going to go Anthony Duclair though. 4K for top line, top power play. I'm buying the narrative that he was just hurt all this time, and that getting 2 weeks off was the best thing that could have possibly happened for what I think is a pretty good player and just very mispriced relative to the rest of the slate. Alrighty. That was the greatest 91 minutes in Morning Skate podcast history. The three man may have to make an appearance sometime in the future. Will it be with both of you? We'll see. If I can get DJ to retire to a private island when he hits his 19 leg parlays that he posts for some reason, maybe that'll happen. I know that you boys probably want to get out of here. I did want to shout out the chat though. We had some absolute bangers in the chat. The Nick Schmaltz 38% advancement in Best Puck, one of the most incredible things I've seen in the Discord of the year.
That's awesome.
So Mike giving it the stamp of approval, just the absolute A plus there. And then of course Brad, another banger. Really missing DJ Slate overview. I might have to call him and make him record a Slate overview for us just to make sure. Because yes, we did give legitimate top stacks. You did not tune into the wrong stream. Yeah, I don't know. There were so many good comments out in here. But just trying to get through all these games clearly. We didn't do a great job either, given it was 92 minutes now.
Oh, brutal. That's a fail on us, but oh well. Better next time.
It happens.
They'll be fine.
All right. So thank you all for hanging out. Do you have anything you want to plug, Twitter or anything of the sort? Mike, I'll start with you.
Yeah, you can follow me at mkberg12 on Twitter. I don't tweet that much, but yeah, I sometimes post cool things. So yeah, check me out.
Matt, how about you?
I don't really post on Twitter anymore. I don't think I even post screenshots there. Maybe I have one or two. All right, I did the prior years, but so don't worry about Twitter. Just find me in the Discord. Yeah, you guys don't find me.
All right. You know what? There's absolutely no one new logging in on February 25th to a slate. But if for some reason you want to read an NHL strategy guide, Matt actually did write an NHL strategy guide that nobody reads because why listen to literally one of the 10 best DFS NHL players in the world? You could argue top 5 even. But that is over on occupyfantasy.com. I think that's worth it on its face. It's $7 for a week or something crazy.
Strategy guide's free even if you just.
It's free. Jesus Christ!
I'll give you the link. Yeah, anyone that's starting, dear God, read it. It's actually really good for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that is certainly well worth a read, even if you're not a newbie. Hell, if it's free, just read it. Just make sure you're not missing anything. Anyway, my plugs: moods.beehive.com, my newsletter. I am actively cooking up a full Zamboni contest simulator for the 2023-2024 season. So I'm really excited to actually get that finished and figure out like what the hell we do on underdog Zamboni drafts. That is playoff best ball drafting, which is just a crazy concept. But I think there's going to be a lot of edge there. So stay tuned to the newsletter for that. Make sure you subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. I'll mix in some random slate write-ups, but I think for the next little while, at least, my focus will be on the playoff contest. So, probably not doing like a Friday write-up or whatever this week. And then, of course, the podcast is on Twitter at MoneyScapePod. I am at Fake Moods, and of course, DJ. He'll be back here on Wednesday evening. Is at DJ_Mitchell94. Thanks again to Mike. Thanks again to Matt. Thank to all of you for hanging out with us on this fine Monday evening. From Doug, from DJ, from Mike, from Matt. I'm also Matt. Good luck, everybody, and we will see you.